during Paul's second missionary journey, he made this site, Corinth, the headquarters, for about 18 months, the longest stay of any place during that journey. Paul would write letters from here, including letters to the Thessalonian church, where he had originally planted churches in northern Greece. In the letters to the Thessalonians, you can tell that people have misunderstood some things from Paul's very brief visit. One of them was about Christ's second coming, but another one was related to that, and that is, they needed to understand that prior to Christ's second coming, there would be a period of lawlessness and anarchy, and actually what Paul calls a man of lawlessness. In 2 Thessalonians 2, he says, "Don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come until the rebellion occurs and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the man doomed to destruction." He talks about the secret power of lawlessness, the lawless one in verse 8, the lawless one in verse 9, who deceives. Paul is describing something that would resonate with people in the Roman world. Rome was known for their roads. Rome was known for their armies and for the Pax Romana, or the peace of Rome that those armies established by the use of those roads. But Rome was also known for their law. They took a lot of pride in their laws. And with their legal system, it was very important for some people to take advantage of the benefits of citizenship. And as you know, in many places, Paul will claim the rights of citizenship. But Paul will also regularly be tried under Roman law, or at least by Roman officials who in some cases, like Philippi, ignore Roman law. There's a fear of riots. There's a fear that something will be done that's not proper. And so Paul has that benefit. So this raises the issue of whether or not Paul is in some ways himself lawless. Is he rebellious? Is Paul an antagonist to the state? The reality is that Paul's ministry is regularly criticized for being anarchic. He turns the world upside down, we read. He's also put in jail by Romans, often because the Jews say that he's disrupting their city, that he's also preaching against their law. So is Paul antinomian? Is he against law, we could say? Well, here's another letter that Paul wrote from Corinth, the letter to the Romans in his third missionary journey, where in chapter 13 he says, "There's no authority except that which God has established. Anyone in authority is God's servant to do good. Therefore, it is necessary to submit to the authorities, not only because of possible punishment, but also because of conscience." Here's the irony. Paul, the law-abiding citizen of Rome and the law-keeping Jew, was arrested regularly, beaten, persecuted regularly, incarcerated, and eventually killed wrongfully. And yet the legacy of Paul that lives on in the early church, evident in these other letters, is that the church was meant to live at peace with all men. The church was meant to exhibit a respect for those in authority. And only when their loyalty to Christ, the true Son of God, would put them at odds with local laws, would they then create chaos. Paul's life and ministry is the opposite of that kind of lawlessness that would characterize the end of the age. And so think about this contrast here on the Bema seat, the place of judgment where Paul was once tried, as a place where Paul was deferring to local law because he trusted in the God who appointed all authorities and worked all things together for good. Just remember, we were at Philippi in a jail cell with Paul and Silas where they were wrongfully incarcerated. Their choice was to sing praises to the God they knew would exonerate them and eventually exonerate his own name.